Amidst a chaotic ballet of blistering lasers and metallic asteroids, Captain Alara Miles' heart hammered against her ribs like a drum of war. Her ship, the Vanguard, danced dangerously close to a tumbling rock, its surface jagged and unforgiving. Around her, the void of space was alive, with the lethal glow of energy weapons and the thunderous roars of engines, a symphony of destruction orchestrated by the Galactic Dominion patrols, relentlessly pursuing her ragtag fleet of rebels. With every evasive maneuver, Alara's resolve hardened. She was not just fighting for survival, but for vengeance against the tyranny that had razed her world and scarred her soul. Inside the cramped cockpit of the Vanguard, the air was thick with tension. Alara's crew, a mosaic of humans and allied aliens, operated with a silent, frenetic energy, each one attuned to the rhythms of battle. Alara's gaze was steely, her mind a whirlwind of tactical calculations as she directed their flight through the asteroid field, her voice calm yet piercing over the comm. "Brace for another pass," she commanded, her fingers dancing across the control panel, plotting a path that skimmed them past a colossal asteroid. The proximity alarms wailed briefly, adding to the cacophony that filled the cockpit. The ship shuddered violently as debris pelted its shields, the sound a harsh reminder of the thin line between life and death in the void. Outside, the universe appeared as a vast canvas painted with strokes of infinite darkness punctuated by the stark white of distant stars. But here, in the midst of combat, the cosmos was neither quiet nor serene. The flashes of ion cannons cast eerie shadows across Alara's determined face, each burst reflecting in her eyes, a mirror to the chaos around her. Her mind flashed back to her last day on Earth, to the faces of her family now lost to the merciless advance of the Dominion. It was the day the skies had burned with the descent of Dominion warships, the day her serene world had turned to ash. The memory fueled her, a silent scream in the vastness of space that translated into the relentless push of her fleet toward survival and retribution. As they emerged from the shadow of a particularly massive asteroid, an enemy cruiser loomed directly ahead, its guns charging with an ominous glow. Alara's lips thinned, her decision instantaneous. "Target that cruiser full spread," she ordered. Her voice the edge of a knife. The Vanguard responded, launching a barrage of torpedoes that streaked across space like vengeful spirits. The cruiser attempted to counter, but it was too late. The torpedoes impacted with devastating accuracy, tearing through the ship's hull and setting off a chain reaction of explosions. As the enemy vessel disintegrated, a cheer erupted from Alara's crew, a brief moment of triumph amidst despair. Yet, there was no time to celebrate. Alara's eyes were already scanning the horizon for the next threat, her mind plotting the next move in this deadly game of cosmic chess. She knew this battle was just the beginning of a war for freedom, for justice, for the very soul of the galaxy, and she would lead it, or die trying. The relentless pace of the skirmish, the desperation of her fleet, and the fiery ruins of an enemy once thought invincible, everything underscored the brutal reality of their rebellion. In the vast, indifferent expanse of space, under the watchful gaze of 1,000 stars, Alara Miles was not just a captain. She was a beacon of hope to the oppressed, a harbinger of doom to the tyrants. In the aftermath of their skirmish, the air aboard the Vanguard was thick with the electric charge of victory, yet underlaid with the pervasive tang of fear and exhaustion. Captain Alara Miles stood at the observation deck, staring into the cosmos that sprawled endlessly before her, planets and stars dotting the inky black like distant beacons of silent, watchful gods. Here, in the quiet aftermath, the weight of her next task pressed heavily upon her shoulders, forging alliances with disparate races, each scarred by Dominion tyranny. The first destination was the watery world of Aquarian, home to the amphibious acolytes, renowned for their espionage abilities and deep-seated mistrust of outsiders. As the Vanguard approached the planet, its surface shimmered like a jewel beneath the oceanic sun, vast oceans glittering under the wavering light. The atmosphere on board shifted palpably, As they descended through the dense, mist-laden clouds toward the capital city, hidden beneath the surface in an immense bubble-like structure of transparent bioengineered coral. Ilara disembarked with her core team, their boots clicking on the wet, sleek floors of the Aqualite Congress Hall. The hall was a cavernous space, filled with the sound of flowing water and the soft glow of bioluminescent algae. The Aqualites themselves were an ethereal presence, their skin iridescent, eyes wide and unblinking, glistening in the dim light. Ilara extended a hand in greeting, her voice steady, projecting confidence and respect. "We seek your wisdom and your strength in the fight against a common enemy," she declared, her words echoing off the coral walls. The Aqualite leader, Thalassa, rose from her throne of woven seaweed, her movements fluid and graceful. "The Dominion has taken much from us, yet so have the conflicts of others who sought our aid," she replied, her voice a melodic trill that resonated through the water-filled air. The negotiations were tense, fraught with old grievances and cautious hope. Ilara listened, responded, and slowly, a bond formed, a mutual understanding carved from the shared bedrock of loss and resilience. With the Aqualites tentatively on board, Ilara's fleet made its way to the volcanic planet of Pyronia, home to the fiery Pyronians who could manipulate thermal energy. The planet was a stark contrast to Aquarian, its skies a tapestry of orange and red, ash plumes painting the horizon. The Pyronian capital was built into the side of an active volcano, its buildings forged from blackened rock, glowing magma coursing through intricate channels like the lifeblood of the city. The Pyronian king, a towering figure clad in armor that flickered with latent heat, greeted them with a wary nod. Ilara stepped forward, the heat enveloping her, sweat beading at her brow beneath her uniform. "Together we can burn the Dominion's reach to ashes," she pitched, her words cutting through the thick hot air. The discussions that followed were heated, literally and metaphorically, as the Pyronians were a passionate people, quick to anger but immense in their capacity for loyalty. By the time Ilara left, the air cooler than she remembered, the alliance was forged in fire and promise. The final stop was the technologically advanced planet of Cyberton, a world of metal and circuitry, where the cybernetic Cybertonians lived in harmony with technology. Their capital was a neon spectacle, circuits and screens composing the very architecture, data streams flowing like rivers around them. The Cybertonians, with their glowing eyes and wired minds, were initially reluctant, calculating the probabilities of success versus risk in cold, hard numbers. Ilara met their leader, Cynthia, in a hall of holograms, where images of potential future scenarios played out around them in vivid three-dimensional detail. "We bring not just weapons but a cause, the freedom to live without fear," Ilara offered, watching a hologram of children, human and Cybertonian, playing together under a peaceful sky. Cynthia paused, the flicker of her eyes the only sign of her contemplation, before finally extending a hand, her voice modulated but sincere. "Your cause is logical. We are with you." With alliances secured, Ilara returned to the vanguard, her heart lighter but her resolve firmer. There was power in unity, in the diverse strengths and shared destinies of worlds under the shadow of oppression. As the fleet regrouped, ready to embark on their campaign against the Dominion, Ilara looked out into the starry void, a silent vow renewed in her heart, to fight, to free, to lead until the galaxy was their own again. As the newly formed alliance settled into a tense rhythm of preparation, the vanguard hurtled through the star-studded silence of deep space towards their first major objective. The target was a Dominion supply depot, located on the remote moon of Ceres, a critical node in the oppressive Empire's supply chain. The depot was fortified, nestled in the jagged embrace of towering rock formations that sliced through the moon's thin atmosphere like dark sentinels. Captain Ilara Miles surveyed her diverse fleet, a mosaic of ships from Aquarian, Pyronia and Cyberton, each marked by the distinctive architectural aesthetics of their world. The mood was a cocktail of determination and apprehension, mixed with a dash of revenge. On the bridge of the vanguard, Ilara convened her top commanders, their faces a range of colors and textures, illuminated by the soft blue glow of the holographic star map before them. The depot is heavily guarded, but it's the linchpin for 3 Dominion supply routes, Alara explained, pointing to the flickering image of Ceres. Taking it down will cripple their logistical capabilities in this sector and give us the foothold we need. Her eyes met those of Thalassa, now a trusted lieutenant, who nodded, her bioluminescent skin casting a serene light. Beside her, the fiery silhouette of Pyron King, Solar, cracked his knuckles, a grin spreading across his rugged features. "Let's turn up the heat," he murmured, the excitement palpable in his voice. The plan was complex, involving a multi-pronged attack designed to exploit the unique capabilities of each ally. The Acolytes would initiate a covert underwater assault, neutralizing the moon's ocean-based cooling systems to disrupt the depot's thermal regulators. The Pyronians, masters of thermal energy, would then create a diversion by superheating the atmosphere, drawing the enemy's forces outwards. Meanwhile, the Cybertonians would infiltrate the depot's security network, sowing chaos and disabling defenses from within. As the fleet approached Ceres, Alara felt the familiar thrill of battle, tempered by the gravity of command. Her orders were clear, her voice steady as she coordinated the positions. "Positions, everyone. This is it," she declared, the finality of the moment hanging in the air like a promise. The first move was silent, but deadly. Acolyte Divers, sleek and agile in the moon's shallow seas, slipped undetected towards the cooling ducts. With expert precision born of 1,000 underwater hunts, they planted explosive charges, their actions hidden beneath the churning waves. Next came the Pyronians. With a dramatic surge, they manipulated the moon's thermal vents, causing spectacular geysers of steam to erupt into the sky. The sudden increase in temperature set off alarms within the depot, and as predicted, Dominion troops scrambled to investigate the environmental anomaly. Amidst this chaos, the Cybertonians made their move. Cynthia herself led the cyber assault, her consciousness merging with the depot's systems in a dazzling display of light and data. Security protocols faltered, and doors slid open, creating a path of least resistance for the Alliance forces waiting to strike. The combined assault was a masterpiece of coordination and raw power. Alara led the charge as the main forces breached the depot's weakened defenses. Blaster fire lit up the dim corridors, each shot a stroke in the painting of their rebellion. The depot's command center was a fortress of screens and alarms, now echoing with the sounds of combat. The battle raged, fierce and unforgiving, until at last, the depot's central control room was secured. Standing amidst the wreckage, Alara felt a surge of triumph mixed with the heavy burden of responsibility. Around her, the faces of her allies reflected a spectrum of emotions: exhaustion, relief, determination. With the depot secured, and the Dominion supply lines in disarray, the victory was a tangible shift in the war's momentum. As they regrouped, Alara addressed her eclectic crew, her voice resonant in the still smoldering command center. "This is only the beginning," she promised, her gaze steely with the resolve, "Together we will end this tyranny." As the fleet prepared to move to their next objective, the stars above Ceres seemed to shine a little brighter, the galaxy's vastness filled with new possibilities. The first victory was theirs, but the path ahead was long and fraught with danger. Yet, for the first time in what felt like an eternity, hope was more than a distant dream. It was a burning flame, kindled by the courage of a united front. The glow of their recent victory had barely faded when troubling news reached the Allied fleet. Emperor Dravos, in a chilling display of cruelty, had captured and publicly executed a prominent leader of an Allied resistance faction. The execution was not just a death. It was a statement broadcasted across the galaxy on every available channel, a clear message meant to sow fear and despair among the burgeoning resistance. On the bridge of the Vanguard, the grim news cast a pall over the assembled leaders. The holographic image of the fallen leader, a figure once vibrant with the fire of rebellion, now a silent martyr, flickered solemnly in the center of the room. Ilara Miles, her face a mask of controlled fury, addressed her diverse commanders, each bearing the weight of the news differently. "We knew this path would be fraught with loss," Ilara began, her voice steady despite the tempest of emotions raging within her. "Dravos wants to fracture us, to make us doubt our cause. We must not let him." The room was thick with tension, a mix of anger, grief, and an undercurrent of fear. Thalassa, her normally serene face clouded with sorrow, spoke up, her voice carrying the cool resolve of the deep sea. "We mourn our fallen, but we must also learn from this. Our security protocols need reinforcement. We cannot afford another loss like this." Zoller, his fiery temperament barely contained, slammed a fist against the wall. "We should strike back, hit them where it hurts. Show them we're not just going to lie down and accept this." Ilara listened, her mind racing with the implications of each proposed action. She understood Zoller's call for retaliation, yet she also recognized the need for caution that Thalassa advised. The balance of bold action and strategic prudence had never been more critical. Amidst the heated discussions, Cynthia, the Cybertonian leader, offered a technological perspective. "Our networks are constantly under threat," she stated, her voice a modulated calm. "I propose a counter-infiltration. If we can breach their communications, we could turn the tide of public opinion by revealing the truth of the Dominion's brutality." Ilara considered this, her strategic mind mapping out the potential outcomes. "Cynthia's plan has merit," she conceded, "but we must proceed carefully. The Dominion's networks are heavily guarded, and any misstep could expose us further." The decision was made to enhance their security measures and initiate a cautious penetration of Dominion communications, aiming not just to defend but also to go on the informational offensive. The fleet would remain mobile, unpredictable, always a step ahead of the Dominion's reach. As preparations began, Ilara took a moment to herself, staring out at the vastness of space from the Vanguard's observation deck. The stars, countless and indifferent, watched silently as she grappled with the weight of command. The burden of leadership was heavy, each decision a potential lifeline or a slip toward doom. In the days that followed, the fleet's cyber specialists, led by the brilliant minds of Cyberton, worked tirelessly. Their efforts, conducted under the shroud of the deepest security, aimed to infiltrate and disrupt Dominion propaganda, to spread the truth of the Resistance's cause and the depth of the Dominion's atrocities. The operation was fraught with risks, the digital battleground as perilous as any physical confrontation they had faced. With each passing hour, the tension mounted, the stakes rising like the tide before a storm. And then, success, a breach, a crack in the Dominion's formidable armor. Broadcasts hijacked, images of Dravos's brutality, replaced with those of resistance victories, of communities helping one another amidst the chaos. These were the new messages that flooded the network. The response was immediate and powerful. Across the galaxy, from hidden enclaves on distant moons to bustling markets on major worlds, the seeds of doubt about the Dominion's invincibility began to sprout. Ilara watched the reports come in, a mix of disbelief and pride swelling in her chest. They had turned a moment of profound loss into a beacon of hope. The shadows of doubt, while not entirely dispelled, had been pushed back, the flickering light of their cause burning brighter against the encroaching dark. The chapter closed with the fleet regrouping, their resolve hardened, their strategy evolving. The war was far from over, but the path forward was clearer, lit by the combined strength and unity of an alliance that had weathered its darkest hour. As they moved forward, the Vanguard leading the charge, the galaxy watched and waited, the tides of power shifting imperceptibly in the vast theater of the cosmos. The final assault loomed as the Vanguard and its allied fleet converged on Xanathar, the throne world of the Galactic Dominion, and the seat of Emperor Dravos' power. A planet shrouded in dark clouds and lit by the eerie glow of its twin moons, Xanathar was a fortress world, bristling with defensive stations and patrolled by the elite Dominion fleet. Captain Alara Miles, standing resolute at the helm of her ship, surveyed the assembled fleet. The vessels of the Alliance, each uniquely formidable, were united by a common banner of rebellion. "Today we reclaim our freedom," Alara addressed her crew, her voice a clarion call broadcast across all ships. "Today we show the galaxy that tyranny can be toppled, that together we are unstoppable." As they approached Xanathar, the fleet split into coordinated squadrons, each with specific targets. The Cybertonians, with their superior technology, led the charge against the planet's formidable electronic defenses, their ships' sleek silhouettes against the cosmic backdrop. Cynthia, their leader, orchestrated a symphony of cyber warfare, disrupting communication lines and sowing confusion among the Dominion ranks. Meanwhile, the Aqualites and Pyronians tackled the planetary defenses. Thalassa and her aquatic warriors unleashed torrents of pressurized water, a deluge that short-circuited ground-based artillery. Above them Zolar and his Pyronians soared, their bodies aglow with heat as they manipulated the thermal energy of the atmosphere, creating superheated updrafts that disabled enemy air patrols. Amidst this chaos, Alara led the main assault force towards the heart of the enemy, Dravo's imperial palace. The palace was a monolithic structure, its spires clawing at the sky like the fingers of some malevolent deity. Guarded by the elite Imperial Guard, it was the symbol of Dravo's reign and the final obstacle in their path. The battle was fierce. Dominion forces, loyal and fanatically devoted to Dravos, fought with desperate ferocity. Laser fire crisscrossed the battlefield, illuminating the darkened skies with deadly beauty. The vanguard shuddered under the impact of artillery, but Alara pressed forward, her determination mirrored in the faces of her crew. Ground troops, including human rebels and warriors from allied races, descended onto the planet's surface, engaging in brutal close-quarter combat. The clash of ideologies was palpable, each strike fueled by years of oppression and the burning desire for liberty. As the battle reached its zenith, Alara's squadron breached the palace defenses. Inside, they encountered a labyrinth of opulent corridors and grand halls, each step deeper into the stronghold leading them closer to Dravos. The air was thick with tension, the very walls seeming to pulse with the anticipation of the coming confrontation. Finally, Alara and her team reached the throne room, a vast chamber dominated by a towering throne of dark metal and glowing gemstones. Dravos awaited them, his presence as imposing as his empire, his eyes cold with the certainty of his divine right to rule. "You are fools to think you can overthrow the order of the galaxy," Dravos sneered, rising to meet them, his voice echoing ominously. Alara stepped forward, her blaster ready, her resolve unyielding. "It is you who is the fool, Dravos, for believing you can chain the spirit of freedom," she retorted, her voice ringing out clear and defiant. What followed was a climactic duel of both ideology and arms. Blaster fire exchanged with the precision of chess moves, each shot a counter to an advance, a parry to a thrust. Around them, the battle raged on, the sounds of conflict a distant thunder. In the end it was Alara who stood victorious. Dravos fell, his empire crumbling with him, his last gaze fixed on the ceiling of his once unassailable palace, now just another battleground. As the news of Dravos' defeat spread, cheers erupted across the battlefield and throughout the galaxy. The Dominion was broken, its grip on the galaxy released. The war was over, but the task of rebuilding awaited. Alara, standing amidst the ruins of the throne room, felt a solemn pride. They had achieved the impossible. As she looked out at her allies, each weary but elated, she knew that this victory was just the beginning. The real work, the work of forging a galaxy of equality and justice, was yet to come. The aftermath of the battle left the once impregnable throne world of Xanathar transformed. Across the scarred landscapes and through the halls of the fallen palace, the victorious alliance of races began the immense task of rebuilding not just the physical structures, but the very fabric of galactic society. Captain Alara Miles, now hailed as a liberator across the cosmos, stood at the forefront of this monumental endeavor. As dawn broke over the ruins of the imperial palace, the first light cast golden hues across the debris, a symbolic reflection of the new era that was dawning. The air was filled with a mixture of somber reflection and hopeful anticipation. Alara, her armor dented and her face marked by the fatigue of relentless campaigns, watched as crews from different worlds worked side by side. Humans, Aqualites, Pyronians and Cybertonians, once divided by the machinations of the Dominion, now united in purpose. Alara convened a council meeting in the reclaimed throne room, where the shattered throne served as a poignant reminder of tyranny toppled. The vast chamber, once a place of dread and subjugation, now buzzed with the vibrant energy of collaborative voices. Leaders of the allied races gathered, their faces marked by the ordeals they had endured, yet brightened by the shared victory. Today we begin anew, Alara addressed the assembly, her voice resonant with the weight of responsibility. Our victory was not just about overthrowing a tyrant, it's about building something better in its place. The council discussed plans for a democratic federation where each world would have a voice. The principles of justice, equality, and mutual respect were laid as the foundation of the new galactic constitution. Cynthia, representing the Cybertonians, proposed a network of information sharing and defense, a system where technology would serve as a tool for unity, not control. Thalassa suggested the establishment of cultural exchanges, ensuring that the richness of each world's heritage was recognized and celebrated, fostering understanding among the diverse citizenry. Meanwhile, Solar emphasized the importance of security measures to protect the fledgling Federation from remnants of the Dominion, or any who might seek to restore it. As the council made decisions, outside the palace, the sounds of construction melded with the laughter and chatter of a free people. Markets began to sprout up, trading goods from across the stars, while children of different races played in the streets, their joyous noise a testament to the peace that had been hard-won. In the weeks that followed, Alara traveled to various worlds, speaking of unity and the shared future. On each planet, massive crowds gathered to see the hero of the revolution, listening intently as she spoke not of war but of peace and the opportunities it brought. Her message was clear. The era of division was over. Ahead lay the promise of collective prosperity. One evening, on the deck of the Vanguard, now orbiting a beautifully restored Aquarian, Alara stood watching the sunset across the oceanic expanse. The water reflected the myriad colors of the sky, a mirror to the universe's vast possibilities. Her executive officer approached, handing her a communication tablet with messages from dozens of worlds pledging their commitment to the Federation. "We did it, Alara," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Not just fought, but forged a future." Alara nodded, her eyes not leaving the horizon. "Yes, we've lit the way. Now it's up to all of us to keep the flame burning." The story of their struggle, of Alara's leadership, would be told across galaxies for generations to come. A tale of how disparate beings could unite for a common good, turning the darkness of oppression into a dawn of endless possibilities. As night fell, the stars shone brightly, a celestial tapestry that seemed to approve of the peace below. Alara knew challenges lay ahead, but for now the galaxy breathed free, and that was a victory in itself.